Good morning, Algebra 2. We're going to cover Lesson 76. And there are several parts to this. So Lesson 76 is the first part in finding polynomial roots. So before we get started, remember that roots is another word for solutions. Another word for that is zeros. And another way of looking at it is we're looking for the x-intercepts of a graph. So for this section, we're only going to identify the real solutions, meaning if it's complex or involves I, then we aren't going to list them. But I'm going to show you how to find all of them. So I'm going to do an example with you. So find zeros of x to the fourth minus 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus 6x. And we're going to use different methods today. It's really whatever method works best. But the method I'm going to use for this one is I'm going to factor. Now, I notice that my degree is 4. So I have 4 possible solutions. So I'm going to factor this by grouping. So I notice the first two terms have x. Well, actually, all 4 have x in common. So if I take x out, I get x cubed minus 3x squared plus 2x and minus 6. Okay, so I factor out the GCF. And then I'm going to factor by grouping. Now, it doesn't always work, but looking at it, I see some things in common. So I'm going to factor this group first. So I had these two terms have x squared in common, and I'm left with x minus 3. These two terms have 2 in common, and I'm left with x minus 6. So my factors are x squared plus 2. Sorry, this should be a 3. So x squared plus 2. And then the other factor is one of the twins, so x minus 3. And then I'm going to bring this guy down. So I'm going to set this equal to 0, and I'm going to solve. So x equals 0. X squared plus 2 equals 0, and x minus 3 equals 0. So notice I set each factor equal to 0. So this is pretty simple, right? X equals 0. So there's 1. This one's pretty simple, minus 2 minus 2. So x squared equals negative 2. Take the square root. X equals plus or minus, there should be 2 of them. The negative is an I and then root 2. So one of my solutions is, well, I'm going to go ahead and put this in black, I root 2. And the other one is negative I root 2. And then last, this one I would simply add 3. So x equals 3. So I'm going to list that my zeros are at 0 and 3 because the other 2 are complex. So these are not real, so they wouldn't actually, for some reason this section just wants the real zeros. So let's do one more. Find zeros of f of x equals x plus 3 times x squared plus 4 minus x plus 3 times 4x plus 1. All right, so this one is a little crazy, but I'm going to bring one of these down, and then I'm going to subtract these. So I get x squared minus 4x plus 4 minus 1. And so I'm going to simplify that. My factors are x plus 3 times x squared minus 4x plus 3. I'm going to factor this guy. That would give me negative 3 and negative 1. So my factors are x plus 3, x plus 3, x minus 3, and x minus 1. So my solutions are 3, -3, and 1. And those are all real, so I'm circling all of them. So we're going to jump into our lesson practice. I'm going to do A, B, C, D, E, and we're going to actually skip F. Okay. So here is part A from our lesson practice. So y equals 4x times 2x minus 7 times x plus 9. And it's already factored for us. So we're simply just going to set each one equal to 0. So 4x equals 0, 2x minus 7 equals 0, and x plus 9 equals 0. So if I solve each of these, right here I would divide by 4. Here I would add 7. Here I would subtract 9. So for this one, x equals 0. For this one, x equals -9. For this one, I would then have 2x equals 7 and divide by 2. So x equals 7 over 2. So x equals 0, 7 over 2, and 9. All three are real roots, meaning they don't involve I. And next one, So the next one I'm solving for f of x equals 7x cubed minus 8x squared plus 3x. All right, so first thing I notice is they all have an x in common. So that leaves me 7x squared minus 8x plus 3 equals 0. Now I know that I'm gonna quadratic formula this one. So x equals 8 plus or minus the square root of 8 squared minus 4 times 7 times 3 all over 2 times 7. So I get 8 plus or minus -20 over 14. Now these are going to give me imaginary solutions, and this section wants our zeros. It wants to know where the graph crosses the x-axis. So this is my only real solution, x equals 0. Part C, I have f of x equals -9x cubed plus 11x squared plus 4x. So my greatest common factor here again is an x. That gives me -9x squared plus 11x plus 4. So here, right, x equals 0. And here I'm going to do the quadratic formula. -11 plus or minus 11 squared minus 4 times -9 times 4 all over -18, right? 2 times 9. So I'm going to simplify this. It gives me -11 plus or minus square root of 265 all over -18. So I'm going to simplify this and get my two solutions. So -11 plus the square root of 265 over -18. -11 minus the square root of 265 over -18. And I'm going to enter that in my calculator. If you enter the top, let me grab my calculator. Where is it? So -11 plus the square root of, let me get out of the glare, 265 divided by -18, and I get -0.3. And the next one, -11 minus the square root of 265 divided by -18, and I get 1.52. And so there are my three solutions. And those are all, none of them involve I, so I'm including all three. Next one, x plus 4, parentheses x squared minus 9, minus x plus 4, and 4x plus 1. Now I did one like this in the beginning. You bring down one of these. And the ones that aren't the same, you're going to subtract. So I get x squared minus 4x minus 8. And then I'm going to factor this guy. So negative 8 and negative 4 would be negative 6 and 2. So my factors are x plus 4, x minus 6, and x plus 2. Wait, did I mess up? Yep, I did mess up. I'm like, wait a minute. I was just going off fast. This right here should be a negative 10. So this solution here, x plus 4 equals 0, x equals negative 4. This one here, quadratic formula. So x equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2. That gives me 4 plus or minus the square root of 56 over 2. So x equals 5.75 and negative 1.75, and then the negative 4. So I simply entered this in my calculator. I used my calculator to enter 4 plus the square root of 56 divided by 2, and 4 minus the square root of 56 divided by 2. And for one of them, I got 5.75, and the other one I got negative 1.75. So that's where I'm getting those. I'm entering them in my calculator. All right. We're going to skip E and F, and we're going to move on to G. So in G, they've told us velocity is 18. The original height is 35. So I've got 0 equals, they gave me a formula, negative 4.9 t squared plus 18t plus 35. I plugged the 18 in for V and 35 in for H. So we're going to do the quadratic formula. X equals negative 18 plus or minus 18 squared minus 4 times negative 4.9 times 35 all over 2 times negative 4.9. And that gives me negative 18 plus or minus the square root of 1,010 all over negative 8.9. So this is where the calculator comes in handy. Negative 18 plus the square root of 1,010 divided by negative 8.9, and negative 18 minus the square root of 1,010 divided by negative 8.9. And so I'm going to enter that in my calculator and write my two solutions. So negative 18 plus the square root of 1,010 divided by negative 8.9. That gives me negative 1.55, and negative 18 minus the square root of 1,010 divided by negative 8.9 gives me 5.6. Now they asked for the number of seconds. I can't have negative seconds, so my answer is 5.6. So that completes that section. I know it's hard, but use our notes for homework. We're going to skip, I have it written down right here. We're going to skip numbers 3, 8, 9, 10, 12, and 25. Thank you.